Well, joining me is, it looks like he's on his way to a cricket match, actually, is Frank Smith, all in white today,
I know.
after a very busy 4 weeks, Frank.
Yeah, no, it's been a great, it couldn't have gone any better, I don't think. And we got the big ending next week with the big pay-per-view show. But everything's gone to plan so far. The weather's been on our side, so yeah, great few weeks.
You definitely had the weather on your side last night, though, and the Friday fight night at the Manor, with headlined by Felix Cash and Jason Wellborn, because it just seemed to, well, there were thunderstorms all day, and then it just seemed to sit away. And obviously, from television, it looked perfectly dry.
Yeah, no, it was perfectly dry. It was supposed to be 96% chance of rain yesterday, and we got away with it. Someone was looking down on us, but the only thing we couldn't buy was the weather, but we managed to get luck with it. So.
You say it almost couldn't have gone better. Um,
Yeah.
that's the tip of the iceberg. There have been an awful lot of things you guys have been organising behind the scenes. Has it been the most complex time you've had, or is it, because it's so condensed, is it actually easier to organise?
I mean, I personally find it, we're so used to going all around the country, doing shows all over the place, new venues each week. We do 40, 50 shows a year. So to be in one place and to be able to build something how we want it and how we needed it to make it happen, that's perfect. So with no crowds as well, it makes it easier. We've got 100 odd people there. It's not like we got 300-400 people needed to be there. So it's worked perfectly. And as I say, all gone to plan. And what's most importantly gone right is the fights. The fights have all been great. We've had 3 weeks of great fights.
Talking about the fights, mentioning the women first, maybe. A very exciting, intriguing fight again last night. Rachel Ball against Shannon Courtney. Again, controversial decision. A lot of people split on the verdict. Fascinating kind of size matchup. And also the week before, of course, Natasha Jonas and Terry Harper giving their all in, again, a very close fight. It's fascinating that the spotlight has been on the women quite a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. But I think you got to take away the female side of it. It's just been great for boxing. Shannon Courtney last night, although she didn't get the win, she was brilliant. She came back after getting put down early. Great fight and very, very close. Terry Harper against Tasha Jonas could be a fight of the year contender. So it's been great. And obviously you got Katie Taylor, Delphine Persoon next week on Fight Camp. You got Breakhouse McCaskill, the undisputed fight tonight as well. From our show in Tulsa. So yeah, brilliant for the sport.
For me last night, Zelfa Barrett against Eric Donovan. You might have uncovered a showstopper there in Zelfa Barrett. There's something about him rescuing victory dramatically in those 7th and 8th rounds from the jaws of defeat behind in the fight. He looks like, and Eddie Hearn kind of said in the post-fight interviews and made it clear to Zelfa, obviously the nephew and trained by the great Pat Barrett, who I remember years ago, fought for a world title, was a crowd pleaser. You may have found someone there who could be a headliner to replace the likes of Scott Quigg and Anthony Croller up north.
Yeah, for sure. He's a great character. It's the first time I've really got to know him in the bubble this week. Really nice guy. And to come back from, as you say, being down on the scorecards and to come back with a stoppage like that, what a way to finish the fight. And he could be a massive star in Manchester for sure.
Yeah, because he's just got, there's a something about him. You know what I mean? When you're looking at X factors, and we're all looking at that at the moment because a lot of your rising stars are on the cards. He seemed to have something last night. Were you happy with the way Felix Cash performed as well against Jason Wellborn, getting his... he pummeled him to the body. Yes, he was deducted a point for a low blow, but Cash set about his work and even delighted, saying the atmosphere was fantastic.
That was Eddie was on his loudest performance last night, cheering everyone on. So no, it was a great performance from Felix. Wellborn is a real tough fighter, been around for a long time, been in there with some good fighters. So it was a good win for Felix early on in his career to go out there and do the business the way he did, and a good stoppage.
Before we touch on the pay-per-view next week, you mentioned the First Lady, as she's called, Cecilia Brækhus, fighting Jessica McCaskill tonight as the headliner in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. You've redefined street fighting for tonight, where you actually, I can't remember the intersection, but it literally is, and you will have been a big part of this, it literally is, you've taken over an intersection in the downtown area of Tulsa, haven't you?
Yeah, the middle of a couple of roads. It's perfect. I think, after what we've done in the UK with Fight Camp, it was a big push, especially from Eddie, as you know, to do something a bit different. He doesn't want to be in studios, doesn't want to be in ballrooms of hotels. Nothing against that, but he wanted to do something different. So, it looks brilliant. I've been sent some pictures this morning and saw some of the rehearsals last night, and they've done it. The US team, obviously, without, we haven't been able to go out there, but have done a brilliant job out there.
How are you policing crowds not coming to the event? Have you had to close off the street in quite a kind of sectioned way?
Yeah, so the streets you've obviously got like the inner area of the ring, but then the streets are closed off at the next sort of junctions all the way round. We've got local police force, we've got security teams, everything like that. So, I think it's going to be nice and safe. I don't think we'll have too many people turning up.
On Cecilia Brækhus, this fascinating character, born in Cartagena, Colombia, but obviously adopted.
That was good. That was good. That was.
Or Cartagena, Colombia.
Yeah. It's nearly as good as Chris Lloyd's impression of you.
Oh, well, that was very poor, I thought. No, the worst thing about the crickets in Fight Camp is people playing cricket without shirts on. It's standard. And I haven't seen your forward defensive or your cover drive while I've been watching the highlights.
Disgraceful. To be honest, all you would have seen from me is a chuck.
But it is lovely to have seen the camaraderie of everyone kind of stuck inside the hotel, to be honest. When there have been weeks when you've had Tony Sims and Shane McGuigan and Dave Colwell, all the coaches together, and everyone seems to have, to be honest, overall, you've seen corners going to corners after fights and, gloves being tapped between rounds. And it's almost had a Corinthian amateur spirit about it at times, because people, obviously they're in fights and they're serious about their fights, but they've been forced together under extraordinary circumstances. And, people don't seem to have let egos get in the way. And it's a tribute to everyone involved, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that has been great. People have come together. I think, obviously, people understand the severity of what the world's going through. So it has brought people together a bit more and understand the situation we're all in. So, yeah, it's been very good. Hopefully, this pay-per-view week's the same.
Well, coming on to that, obviously, if Cecilia Brækhus, what we understand is if Cecilia Brækhus defends her undisputed welterweight titles, there's going to be some effort to line her up to face the winner of Katie Taylor and Delphine Persoon next week, which is obviously for the unified lightweight titles. Obviously, the dream matchup is Katie Taylor against Cecilia Brækhus, going for a 26th victory in a row to equal Joe Lewis's consecutive world title defenses. And obviously she's 36-0. She's 38 years of age. She's come back into the sport because there are these major opportunities at the moment. How big an ask for you guys is next week with Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin as well? I think it's the first ever pay-per-view event that's been staged behind closed doors with no audience. Is there real pressure on you guys to really pump it out there next week and find something extra special to draw a bigger audience in, obviously, to pay for the event?
Yeah, look, it's a big job. It's a big ask, putting on a pay-per-view event, as you say, without a crowd, especially in someone's back garden. But that all adds to it. And I don't think we could have had 3 better weeks to build up to this, to build up to this night. As you say as well, Brækhus McCaskill tonight, the winner of that, will go on to fight the winner of Katie Taylor, Delphine Persoon. Huge. That'll be a massive fight. But yeah, this week there's a lot of pressure. We got to push the event out there as we normally would within sort of restricted circumstances. Sky, as always, are going to do a great job building it up. They got their team in the hotel all week amongst the fighters. I think what's been great about Fight Camp, as you say, around the bubble and being at the hotel, is the access to people. Because you walk down the corridor and you bump into one of the fighters, you bump into the corner team, and because you can't go anywhere, people are happy to sit and talk and have a chat and do interviews and, you know, and do things they normally probably wouldn't on a fight week. So I think that's been good. But yeah, we've got to go above and beyond this week and make sure we push it to the absolute max.
I've got this vision now of Dillian Whyte steaming in off a long run, bowling bouncers at Sasha Povetkin, trying to hit a ball out of the park. You never know in these times. We may indeed see it. Do you know what I mean?
A good little PR stunt, wouldn't it? Maybe we should try it. I can't wait to see if you end up in the bubble and if you end up bowling at someone, Gareth.
I bat and bowl, mate. And Chris Lloyd would have plenty of chin music. The standard I've seen there is about club under 14s. So I haven't seen Eddie stroke a ball through mid-wicket. I know he's a decent bat. He batted for Essex juniors, didn't he, in the age group cricket. I haven't seen him trundle and bowl anything. Even Barry, to be honest, I haven't seen bowl. Barry
hasn't been in the bubble.
Yeah, but he fancies himself as a decent trundler still. And you know,
don't judge us on the cricket, though, Gareth.
No, I won't judge. It has been one of the very amusing things. Is there a risk this week that what happens with the pay-per-view event could stop events going forward? Because Eddie's hinted that, you know, given what's happening with the lack of change in opening up to bigger arenas and slightly more crowds, that it may cap off having really big events, because that's the big issue for the promoters right now. I spoke to Frank Warren about it late last week as well, that getting your Tyson Furies, your Anthony Joshuas against your Pulevs after this event, getting your big fights out, your Campbell Garcias, all these kind of fights, how you get them out now is going to be the challenge for the next 3 or 4 months, because it really is a challenge still. People think boxing's back, but it's still toes in the water in spite of the massive investment you've made in the last month.
Yeah, it is tough, but ultimately we have to deal with the situation we're in. I think fighters are being understanding. It may mean that certain fights can't happen during this period. It may mean that some are delayed, but I still think fighters want to fight, and they understand that if there's no crowd, there's no crowd. That does affect things. You know, Anthony Joshua, a key example. He wants to fight. He wants the Pulev fight at the end of this year. Hopefully we can have some form of crowd, doing that in the UK. But we have to wait and see what happens. But it's our job as well as promoters to try and make it as good as we can for the fighters and deliver for the fighters as much as we can within the circumstances. So be that via, creating revenues in other areas, that's on us, and we've got to go and do the job and do the best we can for our fighters.
Is your instinct that we will get crowds by the end of the year?
In some form. How that is, whether that is X% of a venue, whether that is a number, which I don't really see works because it depends on the space you've got. But I do believe we'll see something back. It was good news. We saw at the Crucible with the snooker today. We've got crowds back for the World Snooker Championships, which is brilliant. It's going in the right direction. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, the government had to pull back on that and the cricket, etc. But now it shows that things are going in the right direction. But, unfortunately, we're in a situation where we don't know what the next couple of weeks hold. But hopefully these events that we put on will aid the government's decision in allowing fans back. But I know they're saying around the beginning of October we'll start looking at certain crowds in venues. Sorry, that's the rain going in the car now.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Well, let's hope you don't. Two things then, just to finish off. I hope you don't get any rain next week, especially on fight night, of course. And secondly, I'm looking forward to this PR stunt of Dillian Whyte coming in off the long run in the back garden of the hotel with Sasha Povetkin hooking him out of the park.
And you dive in to catch it just over the barrier. I can see it now.
Frank, thank you very much indeed, and best of luck with everything next week.
Thanks very much, mate. Good to talk.